Hello everyone, I'm Elspeth Corjay from A to X. Lovely to have you here with us today. Today we're going to be diving into something that can be a real challenge for e-commerce bookkeepers, and that's clearing accounts in QuickBooks Online. Now don't worry, you're in safe hands because I'm joined by the brilliant Teresa Slack, CEO and co-founder of Financially. Teresa is not only an expert e-commerce bookkeeper, but she also runs the E-commerce Academy, which is a fantastic resource for accountants and bookkeepers who are looking to grow their e-commerce niche and their skill set. So welcome, Teresa. It's lovely to have you here.
Hi, Elspeth. It's fabulous to be here with you today.
Thank you. And before we jump in, tell us a bit more about the E-commerce Academy. What can people expect if they sign up?
Sure, happy to. So the E-commerce Academy is designed specifically for accountants and bookkeepers, and it is monthly training. You get live training every month. It is recorded, and you can access that training in a secure portal. So even if you can't come live, you can still get the training you need. We give lots of resources that you can download, workbooks, tools. And the idea is month over month, we are increasing your knowledge and your skills around e-commerce accounting, as well as we even do some sessions on business development. How do you attract e-commerce clients? How do you price e-commerce accounting services? And then we also, once you've been with us a year, we have an advanced academy where we go even deeper because there's always more to learn.
That's amazing. And you do get CPD certificates for it as well, don't you?
Yes, you do. Every month, absolutely. Every session you attend live, or if you watch the recording, we can check that in the portal and you still get your CPDs.
So that's an amazing resource. So if you are watching this and you do want to check it out, there is a link in the description below. Plus there is a promo code NEW20 if you'd like to sign up. So let's jump into the details. Teresa, first of all, what exactly is a clearing account?
Sure. A clearing account is an account that you would set up in your bookkeeping software, whether that's QuickBooks or Xero, whatever system you're using. And the account is used to make your reconciliation processes easier. It's generally set up as a bank type of account, like any other bank account you have.
Okay, amazing. And then how are they used in e-commerce accounting? Kind of a high level overview of the process would be great.
Sure, I'm actually going to walk you through it shortly, but at a high level, you use that clearing account to receive all of the sales information that comes into the bookkeeping software from the e-commerce platform. So, for example, from Shopify, and then it is used to do transfers to the bank account in the manner that the deposits actually happen. So it is designed to make your life easier so that the sales that you see on your e-commerce platform end up lining up beautifully with what's being received in the bank account.
So it helps with the timing of all that.
Yes.
Okay, and so you mentioned that those could be a bank account. How do you go about setting one up in QuickBooks Online?
Sure. You would to set it up, you're going to go to your chart of accounts in QuickBooks Online, and you're going to choose New and choose Bank as the type, and then you're going to want to name it. So, for example, it might be Shopify clearing, it might be PayPal clearing. So, depending on which platform you're on or which payment processor you're setting it up for, that's how we generally name it. So it stands out with the word clearing.
Okay, that makes sense. So finally, just before we move on to the specifics, is there anything else important that people need to know before they get started with clearing accounts?
I guess the main message I would want people to receive would be these are going to make your life easier. It may not seem that way, but trust me, it's going to make things faster, easier, more accurate, and more streamlined. So embrace the clearing account.
Embrace the clearing account, absolutely. Okay, so now that we've got the basics of clearing accounts, let's see it in action. Teresa is going to give us a walkthrough of how a clearing account works in QuickBooks Online.
All right, well, let's delve into clearing accounts and how we would use them. So, a clearing account is used when your sales are brought into the books in a manner that doesn't match with how the payout comes into the bank. So, for example, Shopify Payments does a lump sum deposit into your client's bank account. Depending on which integration you're using, will determine if you need a clearing account. If, for example, you were entering individual sales into the books, you would enter them directly into the bank because that's not what you see on the bank statement. You see a lump sum deposit. So in this case, you would need a clearing account for all those sales receipts to go. Then you would do lump sum transfers to the bank account based on the deposits. And then you would also record an entry for the processing fees. The goal with a clearing account is to make your reconciliation process easier and more accurate. Now, the amazing A2X does lump sum journal entries based on the payouts. If we look at Shopify payments, in A2X, that journal entry will perfectly match the deposit that goes into the bank. In that case, we don't need a clearing account. However, if you're using a different payment gateway, such as PayPal, Shopify doesn't know when a payout happens, so A2X can't summarize by the payout. In this case, A2X allows you to choose how you want that third party payout handled. You can choose from having daily summaries, weekly summaries, or monthly summaries. What A2X does is summarize all the PayPal sales for that period into one journal entry. In this case, the deposit into the bank happens when your client transfers money from PayPal into their bank. It has no direct relationship to the actual individual sales that were done on Shopify. You do, in this case, need a clearing account because when you look at your PayPal bank statement, which it is just a bank statement like any other bank account you have. It's a little bit more complicated, but it is a bank statement. What you're going to see on that statement is individual sales, each and every sale. But A2X will have summarized those sales into one journal entry for all the sales from PayPal for that period. And in this case, we need that clearing account because our sales, the way it's coming into the PayPal account and the way A2X is bringing it in is not the same. A2X journal entry would be set to use a PayPal clearing account that you would set up in QuickBooks Online. So in your chart of accounts, you would choose New and create your clearing account as a bank account, as I'm showing here on the screen for you. You can see that we have the actual PayPal bank account, and we now also have a PayPal clearing account. If we look at our PayPal clearing account, we can see that A2X has recorded a journal entry for a number of sales that were paid with PayPal. Each journal entry includes a raw data file, so you can see exactly which sales were included in that journal entry, as I'm showing here. We can see the journal entry totals $297.01. And from the settlement report, we see that that was two sales, one for $54.51 and one for $242.50. So on our client's PayPal statement, we will see these two sales as separate items. And when we reconcile the client's PayPal bank account, we want to see those two individual items so we can match them to the statement. So we will do an individual transfers from the clearing account into the PayPal bank account so that they match the actual individual sales shown on the statement. So let's walk through the process. Number one, in A2X, you will send all of your journal entries over to the books. Some will map directly to the bank account, for example, Shopify payment, but others are going to map to a clearing account, such as the PayPal clearing account. In QBO, go to the bank feed and click Match on all the entries that are showing as matched. Next, I recommend that you set up bank rules to make your PayPal bank feed work faster. We always set up two different rules. One is for the processing fees. So when it sees the processing fees in the bank feed for the PayPal bank account, it automatically will create an expense entry. The second one would to automatically do transfers for you from PayPal clearing into the PayPal bank account. So this stuff can happen automatically. At this point, we're ready to move on to reconciliation. A2X, we've sent all the journal entries over. We went into the bank feed. If we set up rules, we're just hitting run rule or we're hitting match. And now you can move on to reconciling the account. So you would go to your PayPal clearing account and click reconcile. Start your reconciliation by checking that the opening balance is zero. Then you put zero in your closing balance and enter the last day of the month. Then you're going to check off all the transfers and the A2X journal entries. The goal is to reconcile to zero each month, unless there is a sale that has happened right at the very end of the month and it may clear at the beginning of the month. In this example, you can see that once we have checked off all of our A2X journal entries and all of the transfers to the PayPal bank, we are reconciling to zero, which is a bookkeeper's favorite number. We love it when it says zero. Now you can move on to reconciling your actual PayPal bank account using the statement. And because we've used the clearing account, this process is nice and clean. You're just going to check your PayPal bank statement, confirm that the opening number matches between QBO and your statement. Then you're going to enter the closing balance. Now, in this case, our closing balance is zero. So we will put zero and the end of the month. Using the PayPal statement, you're just going to check off each of the individual sales. You'll check off all the PayPal fees and any transfers to the bank. As well, if your client is using PayPal for purchases, then you would also make sure that those expenses have been entered. Now, this lovely little process only works if you have a one currency PayPal account. If your client has a multi-currency PayPal account with sales happening in all kinds of different currencies, I highly recommend you check out A2X's new connector app for PayPal. It's going to save you tons of time and headaches. So once A2X has sent over all the journal entries, you go to your bank feed, you've clicked match, your expenses are entered, your bank feed is clear. We can now move on to our next step. Now, this is just one example of how we would use a clearing account. The basic idea is that any time the deposits that arrive in the client's bank account does not align with how the sales and payments are being recorded in the books, we use a clearing account to make it much easier.
That was really helpful. Thank you, Teresa. Just a quick note for those of you who are using our new A2X for PayPal integration, Teresa mentioned it in her presentation. You will still be using a clearing account for Shopify, but the good news is that A2X will take care of the heavy lifting when it comes to the multi-currency and fee reconciliation, alongside any PayPal payments to suppliers that happened outside of Shopify. If you're not yet using A2X for PayPal or you're working through things manually, the clearing account process that Teresa's described becomes even more important to help you to just keep things tidy and accurate. Now, while we've got Teresa here, we want to take advantage of her expertise, so we're going to ask a few more questions just to wrap up around best practices for clearing accounts. So Teresa, based on everything we've covered today, what should bookkeepers be thinking about when they're setting up a reconciliation process?
That's a great question. And the answer is always that depends. So a bookkeeper needs to really look at the workflow. They need to look at how are the sales coming into the books and how do those sales line up with how funds are coming into the bank. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, if it's A2X with Shopify payments, we don't need a clearing account. If it's a third party, we need a clearing account. So the bookkeeper needs to think about how can I make this process accurate and streamlined? And in all cases, a clearing account is going to help make that process better.
Yeah, 100%. And in terms of timings, how often would you be reconciling these accounts? Like, what's the best practice around that?
Monthly.
Yeah.
Absolutely, these accounts should be reconciled every single month. Don't leave them longer. Sometimes things happen. Sometimes our clients do interesting things in their e-commerce platform that can have an effect. You don't want to get to the end of the year and find out you've got a number there that you now need to go through an entire year to figure out what happened. Make it part of your monthly process as you would reconcile every bank account, every credit card monthly. All your clearing accounts should be done monthly as well.
That's really good advice. And okay, last question. So, what are some common issues that you do see with clearing accounts, and how can people troubleshoot them?
Sure. Yeah. I would say the number one thing that we see is when a client does something incorrectly in the e-commerce platform because A2X can only pick up the information that is in the platform. And occasionally our clients do interesting things and you'll find like, this isn't lining up. And that's one of the things I love about A2X. It always attaches a raw data file to every journal entry. So you can see exactly which Shopify orders are in that. You can now go into Shopify, have a look at the orders and go, oh, I see what's happened here. So that is very, very helpful for that. The other thing to watch for is multi-currency, because if you have multi-currency, you might have some exchange gain and loss happening that may need to be dealt with as part of your reconciliation process.
So, if that was the case, you could just add it into your month end checklist, is reconciling the multi currency side.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, I would definitely add that in.
Brilliant. Thank you, Teresa. If you want to learn more about reconciling payment gateways and everything else you need to know about e commerce bookkeeping, do check out the e-commerce academy. The link's in the description, and don't forget to use the code NEW20 when you join. That will save you 20% off your price for life, so a great deal there. Thanks again for tuning in, and happy bookkeeping.